Australians love their coffee, and one company called Koffee One is about to bring the cafe experience into your home or workplace.
6 or 7 years ago, I was the food and beverage manager at the Macquarie University Union, and we had a coffee shop there which was underachieving, and I decided I would go out and renovate this coffee shop. So I started looking into espresso coffee, and I discovered the coffee was in a booming era, and everybody loved coffee. So a very good friend of mine who was the vending contractor who'd been in vending coffee for years and years, we had a cup of coffee in our new coffee shop that we done up. He said, how about we take this coffee experience to corporates, to offices? And I thought, well, what a wonderful idea. Everybody in the corporate office drinks Nescafe out of a tin, and they've got this horrible instant experience. Why don't we go and make them and show them how to have an espresso experience? So we started off and we formed a little partnership called a Ghandi Corporate Cafe, and we leased some vending machines. And we placed some vending machines out there, and firstly we put them on coin mechanisms, so staff would put their coins in. We discovered that really wasn't the way to go. So we played around and did a few different models, and we discussed what we would do. So then we thought, well, okay, there was a company called National Coffee in Wollongong who was bringing these new machines in called Euros, who had been very successful in Europe, and they were Swiss-made, specifically designed for corporates. So we thought, let's go and approach these guys and see if we can buy some of their machines and have a go. And we started placing them out there in a few corporates. And surprise, surprise, it was very successful and started to go greater than what we thought. And in our early days, we door knocked. We went to solicitors and lawyers and hairdressers. And initially, we put them out on what they called free on loan. We would supply the machine, and you'd buy the coffee from us. We did that for quite a while, but we realised the capital expenditure was outweighing the cost of return. We then decided that to go forward with us, the most successful way going forward was to have a system that would be able to be replicated. We looked at a lot of different systems, putting on employees, licensing people, selling small business off. Then eventually we decided we'd franchise. And the reason we chose franchising was for the sole purpose we knew we could build a system that could be replicated that would allow our distributors or our franchisors to come aboard a system and a tool that would give them a fantastic opportunity without having to lay out lots and lots of cash and capital and not have to work 80 hours a week, and they could go home, basically work Monday to Friday. The market, as far as growth and opportunity, is huge. It's untapped. It's difficult to place a figure on, but the great thing is corporate people are driven by people, let's face it, by all of us. Like, we all go to work. We're all starting to experience in the cafe scene this beautiful experience of espresso coffee. Now, people want to put that into their life at work. So the growth and the opportunities financially are huge, because you have to work out 2 million business premises. So, I mean, obviously, most of those we want to try and put a machine in. So the opportunity is phenomenal.
One gap that hasn't been filled in the take-home food market is Indian food. So let's meet the person who is about to fill that gap with his business, Handi Gandi.
Basically, it started in about 2 years ago in northern New South Wales, in a town called Ballina. I was working in a pub for my now business partner, Reuben Buchanan, basically running his kitchen for him for about 18 months, and I was quite happy with the results at the end of that 18 months. But I was ready to move on. It wasn't really exciting. It wasn't what I wanted to be doing long term. So he didn't really want me to leave. Then came on the premise of opening up a co-joint business together. Ideas were thrown around about what we should open, and because there wasn't an Indian in the town at the time, we decided to open an Indian restaurant. Development of the product started from day one, moving through to the volumes that we were doing at the time. It was quite a learning experience with how to take a product that you can cook in a 2 kilo pot and turn into something you do in volume. So we had a few trial and errors, like anyone does, but 6 months down the track, the foundation of the product was set, and the feedback from the consumer was extremely positive. The decision was made probably about 8 months into the operation, through the feedback from the consumer, the turnover, how the product was going, to actually move it into a franchise model. The issues we had was the fact that we didn't want each individual franchise to have a kitchen. Being a qualified chef as well, inconsistencies can occur with the product once you actually franchise out and have them cook food on premise. So we had to sit down and formulate a process and a model of how to get the food cooked in a centralised commissary or centralised kitchen and then distributed to out the franchisees. The reason for this was, number one, consistency, but also the issue of having franchisees that didn't have to have multiple staff a larger setup in the model of at the franchise level of kitchens, raw product, etc., etc. So we pulled it right back. So the focus of the franchisee is on the sales side of the business, not so much on the preparation of the food, which you really do need qualified people. And our central kitchen has extremely qualified people doing the food consistently. I think the issue with the growth of Handi Gandis, and the reason why we've had that many meetings and broken the model down and put it back together, is the fact that we aren't another hamburger. We're not a chicken shop. No one's sort of doing what we're doing in the model that we're doing it. So you learn by trial and error. It's been a very fast-growing pattern over the first 2 years. We have got to the point in 2 years where we have a very stable model, an extremely well-received product. We find that from the consumer direct back to us.
A franchise that's definitely out of the square is Telco in a box.
Telco in a box is an opportunity to come into the telecommunications marketplace with or without previous telecommunications experience. We provide everything someone needs from a training perspective, from a systems perspective and a support perspective, so that they just have to get out and do 3 simple things. They can acquire customers, look after customers, and make sure they pay their bills on time. And that's it. The market is enormous. Every home and every business in Australia uses it. You hear figures bandied around of around $40 billion a year spent on telecommunications. So it's a huge marketplace. The industry is extremely fast-growing and extremely dynamic. It's always changing. There's always something new. It's a very exciting place to be. You have to be able to think on your feet a little bit. But yeah, it's great. There's a lot of benefits from being one of our franchisees. You can start with a low capital base. It's not an expensive franchise to come into on that perspective in comparison to others. The overheads are low and variable. You don't need to have a big piece of real estate or a massive fit out. You can work from home initially and start fairly modestly. You can develop your own brand. The Telco in a Box brand is a sub-brand, a little bit like the Intel inside. So our telecommunications company could be ABC Telco, powered by Telco in a Box. So it gives you an opportunity to aim for a particular market segment that you feel comfortable with taking on, and to do that in a fashion that is acceptable to them. Franchisee support is so important, particularly starting off and making sure that they are sufficiently well trained. Our training is very intense. We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of head scratching. We don't expect them to retain everything we tell them. Our expectation is only 20% will sink in, because it's important to have that ongoing support on a daily basis and a monthly basis. And we provide that through account management, which is available to them on a daily basis. We have a technical assistance group that are there to help answer their technical problems. The future of Telco in a Box and the telecommunications industry is very, very exciting. We're looking at the possibility of Telstra being fully privatised. That's going to change the landscape. I don't have my crystal ball to be able to tell you how that will work out, but with a chaos or a turmoil in the marketplace, there's always opportunity. And I guess what our franchisees offer the marketplace is a personal service or a higher level of service than perhaps some people have been enjoying to date.